Some of the best rewards in the Division 2 are in the Dark Zone, and with Year 5 Season 2, it is only going to get better. But farming in the DZ can be incredibly frustrating. After a hard day at work, do you really want to spend 2 hours farming and then risk losing everything to an arsehole with a gun? What if I were to tell you that you can farm the DZ easily, safely, and extract the awesome loot nearly 100% of the time? And I'm going to tell you how. Possibly the most important thing with farming in the Dark Zone is to pick the right location. For me, that is the DZ South. I think this is the best one for farming because of 3 things. Firstly, there is a ton of cover, corners, alternative routes that make getting away from a group of rogue agents much easier. Secondly, landmarks are clustered close together, making farming very efficient. Thirdly, you can use a special trick for extraction, making it very difficult for rogues to hijack it. More on that special trick later. Now, there is one key thing that you absolutely have to do to be successful at farming in this zone. Learn the fucking map. Every single landmark where you'll be farming has passages which will let you reposition safely to get the jump on NPCs or rogues and avoid being flanked. Knowing where your escape route is and using the map to your advantage will take the stress out of Dark Zone farming. In every zone there is a part of the map where the rogues like to hang out and quite often fight each other. For DZ South, this is the area in the northwest of the zone, and it's probably no surprise that this is also the most open part of the zone with the best lines of sight, so I typically avoid everything north of D Street southwest, with the exception of the occasional trip to the Oven landmark. I'm going to cover my favourite Dark Zone farming build in a separate video, which I will link in the description below and at the end of this one, but there are some principles for any build that will really help. The current meta in the Dark Zone is a very toxic one.
No shit, Sherlock!
Players are using the St. Elmo's engine for its ability to shock players and give them an edge. Activate its talent for 70-shot bullets in the mag and swap to your other primary weapon so that they're always there when you need them. So hazard protection builds which provide immunity to shock are a very good option right now. The scanner pulse is your friend. Knowing where your enemies are gives you a huge advantage in any encounter, even with NPCs. The other side of this is pulse resistance. Pulse resistance builds will make you invisible to a rogue pulse, tipping the odds even more in your favour. Now, a question I see a lot is whether builds should favour armour or weapon damage in the Dark Zone. To be honest, this is something of a personal preference, but personally I lean towards more armour because of how it scales up better. But of course it's not quite as simple as that, as you have to balance this with how quickly you can kill NPCs when farming, and also talents like Unbreakable or Adrenaline Rush, which increase your effective armour significantly. Finally, don't be afraid to use the rogues' tools against them. St. Elmo's engine works just as well on rogues as it does on unsuspecting agents. Let's be honest, anyone could turn rogue in the Dark Zone, even that player you've been farming alongside for the last hour. But here are a few things from my experience that I would look out for. The most obvious are groups of players who may turn rogue just for shits and giggles. But if you spot a group who are not heading towards a landmark or extraction point, or even following you, keep running fast. Similarly for solo players, particularly if they're ignoring NPCs, circling a landmark, or hanging around the edges waiting for you to engage with it. When you do encounter a rogue, you will have a choice whether to fight or retreat to fight another day. If in doubt, there is nothing lost in being cautious, and particularly if you're carrying loot that you want. Remember to use your pulse to your advantage in pinpointing their location. Use cover, but don't take cover. You need to stay mobile and corner peek where possible, and never use your shield. Shields are for PvE, not for PvP, but the additional damage that shields take in PvP, they are a liability when going up against another agent. When farming landmarks, there are a few things I would recommend. Use your scanner pulse all the time so you know where any NPCs and agents are. Being able to pre-fire on enemies coming around a corner is a huge advantage. You should also keep moving. This is not PvE where you can sit behind cover and take enemies out. Rogues love to gank, and finding an agent hiding behind cover is like Christmas come early. And be aggressive. Everyone in the zone can see when a landmark is being engaged, so clear them out quickly before any rogues arrive. Hopefully at this point you have farmed yourself some great loot, maybe an eagle bearer. Now all you have to do is extract it, which is easier said than done. But I mentioned that DZ South had a special trick for this. And as a reward for those of you who've made it this far into the video, I'm going to reveal all.
No! God, please, no!
DZ South is unique in that two of its extraction points, the southern and western, are close enough together that you can call for an extraction in one of them, southern say, get to the western and call for an extraction there, and still make it back to the southern extraction point before the helicopter leaves. This means that if there are rogues in the area, they won't know which one you're going to be extracting from. Run back to the first extraction point, or don't. Ideally, you want to be attaching your pack to the rope with 6 seconds or less to go before extraction. That way, even if you are killed, there isn't time to hijack it. Using this method, I have a near 100% success rate on extractions, and you will too. Now, I mentioned that I have a go-to DZ farming build that works exceptionally well, so check out the full build guide in this video here.